When's the last time you changed deodorants?
Recently.
Same. Yeah. I want to talk about this.
I wanted to talk about this.
Well,
it's been on your heart
as men and friends.
It's been heavy weighing on you.
Well, I just want to know if I'm normal.
Yeah.
I don't have any. I have almost no brand loyalty or consistency. So
okay,
whatever.
So I made a big switch from antiperspirant to just plain deodorant.
Yeah. I made that switch about 10 years ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. And I was nervous because of, I think it had some presupposition and belief that it just wouldn't do as good of a job.
Yeah.
I am finding that this deodorant is doing a better job.
Yeah.
Than the antiperspirant did.
Yeah.
Was that your experience?
Yeah, I never went back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do it because of the aluminum?
I did it because it would leave pit stains. Like it would leave a mess. And it was the deodorant. It wasn't me. It was because as soon as I quit using it, it was gone.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm finding I'm not having that.
It's not a very appealing way to start the podcast.
Oh no, it's fine.
You had the sweaty pits.
Sweaty.
Yeah,
pits. It made it worse.
We can all pretend like we don't have these issues. But,
the mic pits.
Oh, hang on now. Hang on.
We'll edit that out.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, are you a sweater?
Oh yeah, I'm sweating now.
Are you really?
No, I'm not.
Oh. Well, I don't
Never
know.
not sweating.
You a sweater? You a vest?
Ah.
Are you a cardigan?
Yikes. Nice. Dad pillow, dad jokes. You're leaning into it today.
Okay, you started off the topic with, I wanted to talk to you guys about deodorant.
Okay, and start.
We can all relate. I tend to bring up very relatable topics.
It's supremely relatable, I guess. Pretty much everyone wears deodorant.
Boy, if they don't, then they're
relatable.
not. You're probably not hanging out with them for long. So you said you did it recently. What prompted you?
That same thing, the aluminum.
Okay, yeah.
I've tried to find ones without that, but I feel like they sneak it in or something.
Yeah.
Even if it says it.
We're using this.
The Everyman Jack is what I switched to.
Okay. What is ours called? Native? Is that?
That's a brand.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. Target. Is that Target?
Yeah.
And
not a sponsor.
Yeah, doing a fine job with how's yours working out?
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The aluminum is supposed to cause Alzheimer's, dementia. Is that the?
Oh, is that it?
Cancer.
I mean, it's not good.
Yeah. It can't be good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your body just doesn't know what to do with that. So.
Yeah.
Stores it and it's bad for you.
Yeah.
It's science.
I was just looking for something a little. I feel like my body would adjust.
Yeah.
So I would rotate. I don't know why, but all of a sudden to me, like, man, something's going on here. And I'm not a big sweater. Like I can, go to the gym and have a pretty good workout and not be absolutely drenched. I've never been that much of a sweater, even as a kid. I know people that just sweat doing, nominal things, and there must be some type of predisposition to the excretion of fluid from the pores, otherwise known as sweat. But, yeah. So you were prompted for health reasons, Chad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just found one that was no aluminum and it smelled great. Everyman Jack has a good lineup.
Do they?
Yeah,
Where do you get that
aromas.
anywhere?
Drug Mart.
Okay. Yeah. I got unscented.
Yeah?
Yeah. I couldn't find a scent that I felt. That throws me off sometimes.
Yeah.
Like I've changed deodorants in the past. A bunch of comedians talk about this, but you're confused by your own scent. That you're smelling something that you haven't smelled before. So
I started it recently, and I mean, I don't know how helpful this is, but I was standing on the sideline with the football team.
Yeah.
And obviously they've been running. They've been doing walkthroughs. They've been, drenched in sweat for hours now. And one of the kids came up to me and he's like, "You smell really good."
Okay.
It's like, yeah, I'm standing here not smelling like
yeah,
my worst possible smell.
Okay.
Like you guys stuffed into these shoulder pads.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, that...
it was affirming, but...
I think that's helpful for folks.
Take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm not a fragrance person. I don't like a whole lot of fragrances. I find that I don't have a very good sense of smell because I think I have allergies, so I'm always congested. There's always one side of me that's like plugged up.
My dad lost his sense of smell.
When?
Oh, it's like probably 15 years ago now.
Okay, so it was later in life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, that's a bummer. How'd that happen?
He woke up one day and couldn't smell anything.
And the doctors had no idea why.
No.
So
it's not like uncommon. I mean, it happens, I guess.
wow.
Yeah.
he had to have some kind of virus, right?
Yeah, they don't know exactly why.
Yeah.
They say losing your smell though puts you. It's an indicator that you're at risk for Alzheimer's because somehow with the nerves in your nasal cavities and the
olfactory receptors,
those receptors are somehow attached to something that links to conditions for Alzheimer's.
Wow.
Dang.
Good grief.
So
did food taste wildly different?
So I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Taste has to be.
Yeah. He can still taste, but he's never been a big like he does not like flavor. Like he won't do anything spicy or too much flavor, too much seasoning.
More bland.
Yeah, he's a very plain eater. So
Interesting. I would think it'd be the opposite. I feel like you would need more flavor.
I know that's why it's kind of baffling because like.
But he's always been a fan of bland food.
Yeah.
So this would transition to not being able to smell then was not as traumatic.
Pretty much he just misses not being able to smell coffee, I think.
Yeah.
That's the only thing he's ever commented on is like he can't smell coffee.
Wow.
Dang.
It's something. Is it genetic?
I don't know. They don't really know why. I don't think he ever found out why it happened in the first place.
Wow.
Did he get hit in the nose?
I don't think so.
Get in a fight?
Got kicked by a goat.
When you lose your sense of smell, sometimes you think this is it.
I've lost my
you
taste
just had
and
like
smell 4 times.
Yeah.
Twice. Well, I assume all 4 of them were COVID, but
yeah,
only twice I had other symptoms. No, I've never thought that.
Last time we were just recording, and I found out.
that's right. Yeah, it was.
You just woke up and couldn't smell.
Right.
So maybe there's something to this.
Yeah,
it could be.
It could be.
You guys are seeing the link between deodorant, right?
Yeah.
In this conversation.
Yeah.
It's wow. I got to tell you, we're bringing awareness to stuff today.
I don't know. Maybe.
Aware of something.
Well, I mean, you're dropping all that. If you're amongst a football team of sweaty high school people.
Yeah.
This deodorant can
help you out.
Can help you out. You could be a non-offensive chaplain. And that's really what you want to be, right?
Really
a non-offensive chaplain.
So
You got to remove any barrier.
Is that a band name? Non-offensive chaplain?
It's something.
It is something.
That's what they're going to call me now.
Non-offensive chaplain.
Yeah.
Yeah. That could be it.
Did I ever tell you guys about Ben and Jerry? And one of them can't taste?
What?
Yeah, one of them can't taste. I forget which one. But the one who can't taste, that's why they're so intentional with textures. Yeah. If you gotta break a giant chunk of chocolate that's on the top when you open the pint into the ice cream. That's for him. Because he can't taste. He wants the texture.
Boy, he's missing out.
He's missing out, but he loves
texture.
He loves texture.
Yeah.
Helps him out.
Well, boy. Yeah, I had not heard that.
Yeah.
Who do you think it is? Jerry?
I can look it up. We'll figure this out real quick.
I'm going with Jerry.
Is it Ben or Jerry? Yeah.
Who can't taste? Ben or Jerry? I don't know why I think it would be Jerry. I couldn't pick him out of the lineup.
Oh,
Are they brothers? Are they friends?
I have no idea.
How do you even get into that? How do you even start an ice cream company?
Ben has a rare sinus condition called anosmia.
Wow.
That has severely limited his sense of smell and taste. That has impacted the ice cream they make in a few ways. Boop.
It's always been that way?
Yeah, I guess so.
He's never been able to smell, really?
That's what it looks like. I'll do some digging.
Yeah, I'm interested. Surprised you don't have a. I'm sure there's one out there, some type of docu-series.
That's where I learned it.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. It was something I watched on like Netflix or something a while ago.
Well, I'd like to see that. I love that stuff. You know what show I like? How It's Made. Love that show.
I don't think I've seen that.
It's a show that shows how stuff is made.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. But, I mean, they get all kinds of stuff. Italian sausage, Little Debbie snacks, whatever it is, toilet paper. It's just fascinating watching the machines that they build that do this stuff.
The ones that put aluminum in deodorant?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I like that show. Rachel did not care for that show at all. You've seen How It's Made, haven't you? No?
What's it on? I don't think so. I have.
Various screens. I viewed it.
Who's the host?
No. Don't know. It's a guy. It's just a voiceover.
It's a guy.
He's like, he'll do something like this. 30,000 pounds of toilet paper are made every day from this factory.
Oh, no.
And then it'll show some factory stuff.
I couldn't last more than 15 seconds.
The first machine takes the toilet paper and puts it on the roll. It's that. You wouldn't like that?
Well, the version that they did on Disney I told you about with Jeff Goldblum as the host.
Oh, okay.
That has me captivated for a whole 30 minutes.
Well,
it's Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, right. All manner of toilet paper.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to go learn about denim. You know?
Denim is a great fabric.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm locked in for this.
Yeah, he's something else. Rachel met him.
Yeah?
Yeah, hugged him.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, she said he's real tall and has giant feet.
Uses great deodorant.
Yeah. She was like, is that every man Jack? And he's like, yes, of course, all manner of deodorant.
Try this ice cream.
It's from my friend Ben. He can't taste. His sinuses are a little messed up. That feels good when I'm doing it. Does it sound all right? Rachel gave me props on my wall. It's close. You're like, it's not good.
Your Christopher Walken.
Well, no. I'm trying. It sounds good in my ears. I have fancy in ears. Rachel liked my Mark Wahlberg, the last podcast, when I said 20 divots in my yacht. She enjoyed that. She sent me a text. She's like, that sounded so good. And I'm like, well, thanks. She's an encourager.
Yeah.
She is.
It's her spiritual gift.
Right, yeah. And I know it's all bad, but she lies to me to make me feel better, which is fine. Yeah, so no Jeff Goldblum, no official host with this. This is old.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know if they've made one beyond 2002 or 2003. But when I was a kid, I used to watch it. So I would be fascinated with that stuff. Like you see stuff, and it's just there. You go to the grocery store, it's there. And I've always thought, I wonder how that's made. And this show answered that question for me.
Well, there's a new version of that from people my age who go into grocery stores and they're on TikTok and Instagram. They go,
oh, really?
Yeah. Who's buying this?
Okay, who's buying
and
this?
And it's just like YouTube shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the whole video.
Yeah. That's the whole video. They buy it. They go in their car. They taste it. They tell you about it.
Who's buying
The one I just watched yesterday was a guy saying how much of an abomination it was for Coke Zero to make an Oreo flavored Coke Zero, which I actually just saw in the store. I don't often see them. I'm like,
you guys make fun of me. They're going overboard with Oreo stuff.
Yeah. And he was like, how could they put zero sugar in two things that are notoriously known to be packed with sugar?
Right.
Oreos and Coca-Cola.
What are the first two ingredients? High fructose corn syrup and sugar.
Yeah.
Caramel color.
He actually really liked that one. He said, this is worth a try.
Huh.
Yeah.
We were at World Market a couple of weeks ago, just walking around Crocker on a nice day when I think it was like, when Henry first went back to school. And I didn't know what World Market was about. And I'm walking around and I'm looking at the food, and they have foods from candy from places like Japan and China.
Mm-hmm.
And it dawned on me, it is a world market.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I told
what
Rachel,
this place is about.
I'm like, you know what? I think I think what they're doing here is they're bringing stuff in from the world. Well, you go in there and it's such an odd store because it's like, do you want, this Swedish Kit Kat in a beautiful chair and a couch and a rug and a lamp and some sort of bronze cat?
Sounds like a market.
Seemed like a market, but then they're like, oh, it's the world's market. And I thought, I don't know if I'm buying that. Dang. But then it was like the scales fell from my eyes.
Yeah.
And I went, wow.
It's right in the name.
This is the thing. Henry's got food allergies. And I'm sitting here reading this, and I'm like, this is in Mandarin. Like, there's no way I can see if there's milk in this or egg. Like, I was immediately uncomfortable with this. I like to know what's going in my body, which why I switched deodorants.
Yeah. What kind of deodorants do they have there?
I don't know.
Patchouli.
I don't know. Is this German deodorant?
Yeah.
It was strong.
Yeah.
Right?
It smells like black licorice.
No. Stinkenhausen. Yeah.
No Stinkenhausen.
No Stinkenhausen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just wearing some no Stinkenhausen, eating Pocky sticks on a Bolivian hammock.
Yeah. Have you ever bought of the, I told Rachel yesterday I don't enjoy eating whimsical foods, but, or exotic things. I'm pretty straightforward. She was showing me some ice cream and it was blue. She's like, that looks good. And I'm like, I don't want to eat blue ice cream. But have you guys got some of that weird stuff from World Market or no?
Yeah, we used to shop there.
Yeah.
More when it was in North Olmsted. But
what weird stuff?
Just some of the, I would say, non-native food items. Some of that stuff that's like...
No, not at World Market, but like Asian markets or anything like that. And there's a big one in Cleveland.
Is there?
We've gotten some desserts from there.
Yeah.
Because I like matcha flavored stuff.
You introduced me to mochi?
Oh, mochi.
Mochi.
Yeah.
And I saw they one at Target yesterday that was a pumpkin spice. And I thought...
We full-blown Americanized it. This Japanese treat.
I wonder if Chad would enjoy that.
Heck no, it wouldn't do
flavored
pumpkin
like Oreo.
spice.
The other one was a Coke, an Oreo. Oreo Coke.
Oreo Coke mochi.
Diet. It was a Diet Coke, Oreo mochi. It looked good.
Yeah, what
the other one was apple. This was even more Americanized. It was mochi, and the flavor was apple a la mode. Like it was straight Southern. Like you're getting an a la mode, apple a la mode mochi. Those are good though.
Man.
Yeah, you brought one in, and it was green tea, and you said, "Try this."
Yeah,
and I did.
Yeah, they're super good.
Yeah, that got us on a kick for a bit.
Yeah,
Rachel and I was like, Chad brought this in. It's exotic. I think it's from World Market. You want to try it?
Yeah.
And she tried it and she liked it.
Well, my wife introduced them to me.
Oh, really?
Before we were married, she did a 3-month stint in Japan.
And
she was introduced to authentic mochi. And now it's becoming a big thing here in America.
It's an interesting mouth feel, as they say.
Yeah.
The textures are really... Have you had these? No? Oh, buddy.
We're going to bring some in for you.
You like sweet treats and ice cream.
Oh, this is the thing. It's like a little ball.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've gotten this from Trader Joe's before.
It's like a powder on the outside.
Yeah.
What is it, flour on the outside, Jen?
Red bean flour, yeah.
Red bean flour.
Yeah, I've had those.
Yeah. Did you like it?
Yeah, they're okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. I found they go down real smooth.
I mean, like, it's Trader Joe's freezer section, so
yeah,
I'm sure it wasn't completely authentic.
No, yeah, the ones I gave you guys were from Aldi.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were great. They were very, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mind that, but they've got all kinds of. They have a vegan option now that we may let Henry try.
Heck yeah!
But,
there we go.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's what's been going on with me. How are you guys doing?
Wonderful.
Episode 91 today.
Yeah,
that's big.
Here we go.
Welcome to the podcast.
Going towards 100.
Welcome to the Atrium. This is a Hope Christian Church podcast. My name's Neal. I'm the lead pastor here, and this is...
I'm Mark. I'm the adult pastor.
And I'm Chad. I'm the student pastor.
In episode 91.
Woohoo!
I love that we ask people to put in the comments things, and then we're not a commenting, listening group.
No, on Facebook. We get some comments on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, what was the one we were just talking about?
I recently just got back on Instagram. I probably will request you. I was off for a year, and the Mr. Olympia competition is coming up, and I enjoy the bodybuilding. And you can't get the same coverage that you can get on these little stories. And I follow Mr. Olympia itself, and it's all backstage stuff. So I'm like, let me get back on there. And so I follow everything with a couple bodybuilding things and then guitars.
See if you're following me.
Some cars. Chad, Painter Meets World, right?
Chad Painter Meets World. Follow me on Instagram.
There it is. I think I'm Neal Nemeth _.
All right.
And that's all I could get.
Remember when you blew up on Instagram?
I've blown up several times on Instagram accidentally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Henry blew up on Instagram. He didn't blow up, but yeah.
He's no me.
No, he had a video that, got like 100,000 views on it of him drumming when he was 5.
Get him on Conan.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then I had one that I did that was close to 300,000 views back in, this would have been 2000. Before Henry was born, maybe 2000. And we were still in the condo. So 2000, maybe 12, 13, 14, right around there. But yeah, I woke up and I just had an unbelievable amount of followers. And then, I had that one guy. I was like, I'm going to do a fitness one because I was going to start training people. And it turns out I didn't have time to do any of it. But yeah, accidentally I've had a couple of things that have gotten traction. That was interesting, but I'm not doing it for that.
Yeah.
I just want to see this competition. But I like cars and I enjoy guitar stuff and and I never know what's going on at the church. It's helpful for me. People
You never know.
Honestly, people will be like, "Hey, someone was saying, wait, when's the next member at Hope?" I'm like, "That's Mark." I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know. I got to figure it out. Yeah, I'm quite. I should be more proactive with that kind of stuff, but I know where the events page is, so I just give people the events page. But
there you go.
Yeah,
it has its benefits, maybe.
Yeah. So episode 91 had a big announcement on Sunday. This is very exciting, and I had previewed and teased, if you will, in the newsletter what's happening. That we had a big announcement on Sunday. So be engaged, be here. I always try to encourage people to come in person. We've got an interesting, I don't know. I don't talk to many other pastors about attendance and the fluctuation of it, but I assume we're not unique in that. And I've only ever worked at one church, really, that we're, unique in just the unbelievable swing we'll see in attendance. It'll swing 300 plus people sometimes in a Sunday, which is crazy because we're only, we're a church of probably about 1,000 people, and it's 30% swing is massive. And we'll see that swing from one Sunday to 8. It doesn't matter time of year. So I encourage people to be here in person for lots of reasons. I think that's, obviously that's the community portion of church. If we can be here in person, then be here in person. And I think that's important. But I was excited to share that we are, officially debt-free as a church. We were able to pay off the mortgage. And it was very, very, very exciting. Still kind of doesn't feel, you and I were talking about this morning, Chad, doesn't feel real because it's something, I've been here for 14 years, and there's always been that's always been around. And it wasn't my responsibility for the first 5.5 years. It was, I was a worship pastor here, and Tim was the lead pastor here. Tim Manzi was the lead pastor here, and they called him senior minister. And, I know that weighed on him heavily, and he was open about it. He shared it with me that even when he was found out he was sick because he was diagnosed with cancer and young. And one of the things he said is I wanted to leave the church in a better position. I was hoping that the building would have been paid off. And so when I moved into the role, there was still I think $1.4 million on the loan. And so we did the Grow Project back in 2018, the end of 2018, took out the loan in 2019. Had to switch from the, construction loan to the normal loan. And we were able to pay off $2.2 million in a little over 5 years. So it was just very emotional. And because when I moved into the role, there was about $60,000 in the general fund and about 250, 300 people here. And it was a little overwhelming. And I had never pastored a church before and had just gotten my degree And so Bob and I just kind of went to work, but it's not, and I said this, on Sunday, it wasn't because we were savvy or because we figured out or cracked any code. Like, God was just unbelievably gracious and gave Bob such a sound, conservative, frugal mind that he's just done excellent with the finances, because he's in the day-to-day. He comes to me with big stuff and budget stuff, but like today, all that disability stuff that we switched over, disability insurance, that was all him. Like, that wasn't my idea. So he's just done an excellent job with all of that. So very thankful for that. So yeah, I was excited to share that with the church and hopefully encourage the church on several different levels. And yeah, we're very, very thankful and looking to hopefully add some additional staff next year. I want to see how the rest of this year plays out. I wouldn't say it happens often, but I know of it happening where a church will pay off their building, they'll share it, and giving tends to dip sometimes because people think, okay, well, they don't need as much money. And so, but we are hoping that the giving stays where it is so that we can add additional staff and, help spread the wealth. I know everybody does. You and Bob are probably you do it too, though. Like, everybody wears multiple hats. You're doing adult ministry and running the greeters and Celebrate Recovery and men's ministry and women's ministry and small groups, trail life. You got your hands on a lot of stuff. Your social media and students, and then really Connect Conference is a young adult.
Yeah.
Up to young adult. So you're wearing multiple hats. And
we're talking more about young adult stuff now.
Yeah.
Because they're staying around more than they were back in 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it'll be nice to get you guys some additional help and be able to care for the body with a little bit more intentionality and kind of pull those resources together. And it's been good.
The suggestions that were floated my way immediately after the announcement were hilarious.
What did you get? Yeah.
Well, we need a bacon bar. Forget the coffee. We need a bacon bar. We need a smell of bacon. I'm like, all right.
Ow.
Wouldn't have been my first initial choice, but I'll bring it up at staff meeting.
So they thought what was holding the bacon bar back was the mortgage? Or they didn't think maybe common sense was holding it back.
Just the people I talk to.
Yeah. Why don't you stick close to us on Sunday?
Yeah, please help me.
Right. It's like, Henry, stay here, bud. Strangers around. Hold my hand, Chad. Let me get you through the atrium. Yeah. I got, build was the first thing. Are you guys going to build? Are you going to do that? And we don't need to build right now. Yeah. What do we have here on Sunday?
Let's go right back into debt.
900. Anyways, yeah, I got, let's build. When are we going to expand? We don't need it. Third service, we have so much space in third service. First service has been fuller or just as full as second. It used to be first was kind of down, second was jammed, third was our lowest. Now first and second mirror one another, and third is just a crapshoot. There's no way to know, but
third's going to be more interactive. You break them up into small groups.
Good, yeah. To be like 100% transparent, I do not like having three services. I just don't. And it's not a matter of having to preach three services. I enjoy preaching. I would, Easter's tough, but I love it because we do 5. Like, I have no problem doing it. But I know it's hard on the volunteers. But the biggest thing is we're so separate as a church.
Yeah, 2 really isn't even good.
No, really, you want one.
You want one.
You want one. That's what you want. But we don't have that option with the size of our worship center. First service and third service, they never mingle. They never, unless somebody switches a service for some reason. So I don't know. I don't know how long 3 is sustainable, but at the same time, the next phase of building would be just I don't even know. I mean, I could guess, but millions and millions of dollars. Yeah. Because you need a worship center, but then you got to get additional parking, and then you've got additional runoff and drain, and the price of loans has gone up significantly. Construction prices have gone up significantly, just for what we did. And there was $350,000 in parking lot. Like, that's expensive. Like, this was back in 2018, and we've got basically 100 parking spaces for $350,000. So it's $3,500 a space.
Yeah.
Because you got to, obviously prep the ground, but they have to run drainage.
Yeah.
For all of that. And then they had to expand the runoff, the retention basin. So it just becomes very, very expensive. The building portion of it itself was $650,000 just for, this room that we're in now, the East Wing Worship Center, and then, all the expansion in the worship center. But that also included things like new carpeting, new chairs, paint, new sound system.
Yeah.
You had $80,000 in sound system.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you build a 650, well, you'd really need more than that. Like, if you wanted to do one service, you'd need 1,000 seat.
Oh yeah.
And so that would just be an absolute fortune. And you wouldn't start there. Probably you'd have to start smaller than that and just try to go to 2 services. So 650 seat. And just the sound system alone, to start from scratch, you'd probably be $250,000 just in that.
Yeah.
Staging and lighting, it gets very, very expensive. So there's something to be said for just contentment and being thankful. We're not turning people away. We do have a couple of overflow rooms, and they get used because people don't want to be. Our seats are very small. And when we did the Grow project, we got all new chairs, and they got smaller chairs, which in hindsight, I don't know. I don't know if I would have done that.
I've been to smaller though.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably not the worst idea.
Well, like what you're saying, like when churches go to like the next stage, like then like the seats, it feels like almost, progressive field. Like you're in a tiny little bucket and, you're shoulder to shoulder with everybody.
Yeah.
I've definitely been at churches where it's like, it feels like stadium seating. And like,
so the room seats, what, 350 probably?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right around there.
350 and it's full. Yeah. There's over about 400 chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you won't get over 300 plus people in there because people don't want to be that on top of people. So It's like you get more seats in there, but people don't want to sit.
People still, it's still full.
Yeah, we see people voluntarily go into the overflow room. So we'll see. Not sure right now. Again, we're going to focus on, more on just serving
the bacon
people.
bar.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I don't even know what that means. What is a bar? Like,
probably like multiple different
toppings to put on your bacon.
No, probably like you get yourself a brown sugar,
your regular,
bacon,
your candied bacon, your blackened pepper bacon.
Yeah. Canadian
bacon.
Right.
Dumb.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put Canadian bacon out there.
No.
That's dumb.
Yeah. Canadian bacon, otherwise known as round ham.
Yeah.
Small round ham. Well, I mean, it's all pork. But yeah, for right now, we're not going to focus on expanding, the space. We're going to focus on staff and trying to care for them. But very, very exciting. And then we went on to talk about the sons of thunder. So James and John, sons of Zebedee and Salome.
Tell us about it in a Jeff Goldblum.
Yes, we have the sons of thunder. This is it.
That's his Sons of Thunder episode.
Yeah, so his mother Salome, all manner of thunder, wow thunder, and small thunder as well.
Now Nick Cage.
No, Nick Cage. Why? Look at your dad with your thunder. Zebedee, Salome. We're going to seal the Declaration of Independence. No, Dad. Mend your nets. So, anyways. I just went Johnny Carson on that one. Anyways, show.
Yeah.
So, on Sunday, we opened this up. These guys particularly in the call, they're just lumped together. And you get a lot more information on John, or really insight on John, because of the 5 books that he wrote. And I thought about I could kind of split this up and just you go with James by himself and just talk about James and what he did. But these 2 guys Jesus renames Simon and these guys, they're among the first 4 called. It's 2 sets of brothers. I thought, let's put these 2 together, kind of a Sons of Thunder mini-series, as we called it. And so we split it up into 2 weeks. Last week was, let's talk about what these guys did and or were that we should be and or do. And then this week coming up on Sunday, we'll talk about what they did and what they are that we should not do. We focused this week on intensity and boldness. We went to the story of them asking to sit at Jesus' right and left hand in his glory, and Jesus responds, and the other apostles either hear it later that they asked this, or they're present, which I tend to lean towards they were probably present because of the way that it's written, and the 10 heard this, and they were indignant. The other 10 apostles are looking at these 2 guys and going, why would you do that? Like, who do you think you are? And with good reason, right? Because that's a pretty bold thing to ask. And as I was looking at the text, the thing that stood out to me the most is Jesus corrected James and John, but there isn't this, he's not like shocked. He's not indignant. He's not angry. He knew what James and John were, and he liked it. He liked their boldness, and he liked their intensity. And I went a step further and talked about Jesus' inner circle. It was James and John and another guy named Peter, and all of them were these intense guys. Jesus seemed to like to surround himself with guys that he had to tell to hit the brakes as opposed to hit the gas. And to be honest, like I've, talked to you guys and, the other staff, and that's the type of people I like to be around. I don't want to be around somebody that I got to light a fire under. The reason I love working with you, Mark, and you, Chad, is because you guys have you're motivated. Like, you have great work ethics, and I've told you on many occasions, like, I've been here for 14 years. Nobody was able to break into the schools. You were talking earlier about, the football players were enjoying your musk, but that's because you're the chaplain of the football team. And how did that happen? Did I tell you to do that?
No.
You just went out and did it. Did I tell you to get CR or trail life or anything? No. I cannot express how little I do at this church. That's what I want to get across. I am not necessary at all. No, you guys are self-motivated, and I love that. And you guys actually do a great balance of it, where it's not like, you're coming to me with all this crazy stuff, and I'm like, hit the brakes. Like, God has blessed us with a wonderful staff, and the entire staff is like that. Everybody's very, very motivated. But with that intensity sometimes, and we'll talk about this week, there can be an overreach. There can be a point of intensity that you do need to pump the brakes. And so we'll look at a story this week where Jesus talks to these 2 fellas, and it's very short. We don't get much, but we get a lot of information in seemingly a few sentences. So I'm looking forward to that. But the call to us as a church was to increase intensity. And I talked about on Sunday, the need to be intense and bold in our faith, and it's not an introvert extrovert thing, because I knew people were going to be like, I'm not wired that way. It's like, listen, you can be bold in your prayers and in your Bible study. You can be bold in your worship. Evangelism is a different thing. I understand maybe not going out there to people that you don't really know. And, we all know a guy that comes to this church here who is a very bold evangelist, and that's a gift.
A fisher of men.
Yeah, for sure. A very, very bold individual. Not everybody's wired like that, but we can still be bold and still be intense in our faith and not be an extrovert and be more quiet, maybe a little bit more timid. And I wanted to make a point that, this is not me accusing the church and not owning it myself, because I'm bold in around here, and I'm air quoting for those that are listening, but it's really not even all that bold to stand up and say, okay, women shouldn't be elders. That seems really bold culturally, but is that bold? It's not. I didn't come up with it. I didn't write it. I'm saying it, but it's the truth. It's in Scripture. To say a man should not lie with another man it's not a bold thing to say amongst Christians. It should be understood. And so for me, it's like, am I bold in my prayer life? I don't know. probably not as bold as I could be. Am I as intense in my study? Study is the hardest thing for me. We've talked about this because every time I'm reading, I'm working. It's what it feels like. Mm-hmm. So it's a hard thing to balance. But in my own personal worship and meditation, I know I can dial things up. And it's not to say, well, if I need to do it, everybody needs to do it, because that's not it. But I want to just get the ball rolling and just listen. Let's just all be honest here. We could probably all dial things up a notch or two in a couple of areas. But again, this week we'll talk about, sometimes we can overcorrect and overreach. And so times to dial that back.
Well, I have a question on the angle of that story, the Sons of Thunder. That probably leads us right into the questions today, because they're about the messages, the sermons lately.
Yeah, it's good.
The funny thing that it always seemed funny to me reading that story, that James and John seem to go to the mom, Salome.
Yeah, so there's another account, and I didn't get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to Jesus.
Right.
Maybe. Tell him. Maybe.
Yeah.
But that's always kind of how I've heard it or how I've read it.
Yeah.
And so it would have been kind of the opposite in my perspective before going into that sermon. Like, these guys were timid, and they asked their mom,
right,
can you go ask Jesus? Who she would have had more pull if she truly is Jesus' aunt.
Right. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why, and we'll get into this a little bit later.
Yeah.
And I cut out 6 pages of that. I couldn't fit it in. And I realized that it wasn't because, and this is when you see a parent, and it's not that it's a contradiction, but I've talked about this so much in the past, I thought I'm not going to dig into this again, where when you're going through the Gospels and you see parallel stories and you get different details.
Yeah.
And in the Gospel that we read, it was the 2 brothers, James and John, going to Jesus. And in one of the other Gospels, I can't even remember which one now, it was their mother goes to Jesus, but the boys are with her. And so which one is true? And it's both. Everybody was probably asking. And I've used the analogy before of Rachel and I go on a date to Crocker Park. We go and we eat at the fancy steak place, Hyde Park. And we walk around afterwards and we hold hands. We sit on a bench, eat ice cream, laugh, have a good time, go home. Next day, her girlfriends ask her, how was your date? And she says, oh, it was great. We walked around, we held hands, we were just really connected. It was an amazing date. And for some reason, and this would never happen, you guys asked me, how was your date night with Rachel? I'm like, it was awesome. We went to Hyde Park, the steak was great, and the ice cream was amazing. Which one is true? All of it. It's just different details are brought in.
Why would that never happen?
I don't think you guys would ask me how my date night was. Would you?
Wait, did we just get slammed in?
No, not at all.
Catching strays.
When's the last?
I'm giving this would ever happen.
We thought they established this last podcast.
No.
I love you.
No, it would never happen.
I love you.
I love you.
It's not like you guys. It's not like I exist. No, I meant because predominantly men aren't going to be like, "Hey, dude, how was your date night?" Right? I can't imagine, because I wouldn't even tell you, "Hey, guess what, guys? Friday night's date night for Rachel and I." Right? That's what I meant. No, this was not a.
You should.
Yeah. I like that you highlight that, but when I say all the nice stuff about you and your work ethic.
Again, it made me feel really good.
I get no respect. Turn around, I
was like, what just happened?
No, that was very unintentionally hurtful. But needless to say, all those things are true. Those details are true. And so you've got Salome that probably was asking Jesus. And again, that probably would have been the familia connection.
Yeah.
That's his aunt.
And I shouldn't say timid. Like, I shouldn't say it.
No, I know what you're saying, though.
But yeah, I think it's John 19.
Yeah. It's John something.
Yes, John 19 is what I have written down for the questions today. In that version, Salome is that how you would say it? Salome?
That's the best I could come up with.
She's bold.
I don't speak, fluent Greek and or Hebrew, so I use this software called Logos software, and it has a pronunciation feature on it.
That's helpful.
And so, I listened to it over and over and over. Like, Boyer, yes, it was. I would have never pronounced it.
Yeah,
like
the
that.
thunder.
So, yeah, right. And the way the guy does it is, I listened to it 100 times. He was like, Boyer, yes, and I'm not going to say it like that, because you know what drives me crazy?
Bolognese.
When people say gyro. I know it shouldn't, but doggone it, it's gyro.
Doggone it.
I was listening to a sermon from somebody, and they were instead of saying bail, they were saying ball. And they're like, they did a lot of study, and it's pronounced ball, not bail. And I'm like,
it was Baal, if you really studied.
It's probably closer to that, but everybody knows it as bail. Like everybody calls it a gyro. And you're at Arby's, like just order the gyro.
Just order the gyro. So
Which,
it's
by
on
the way,
how it's made.
A great gyro. Tell you, it's love. That's how it's made. Sprinkles of love on it. But
lamb and love.
Yeah. Needless to say, those two versions aren't contradictory.
No.
The brothers clearly wanted it because you get the brothers they were mad at the disciples were mad at the two brothers for even getting that going.
Yeah.
And I'm sure mom was involved. Especially, because that would have been likely Jesus's aunt.
Yeah. Yeah, it would make total sense for the family, dynamic to go, I want my three. I want my nephew and my sons to be the top three. Yeah. That was at soccer practice for Ledger yesterday. And my eyes are like barely on any other kids.
Yeah, why? Yeah.
Like, I want my kid to succeed.
Right.
That's kind of what comes to mind when I read that story as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is a very very human thing to want.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And it would be a mom aunt perspective to say, like, don't forget, these two come before those guys.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty bold.
So she was bold and intense in 6 pages. You also did on the parallel.
Just explaining
the John version.
It was the John version, and then explaining the apparent contradiction.
Yeah.
So 6 pages for me is not that much because of the way that I manuscript. It's just a couple of, I don't know. Sometimes it's like maybe 6, 7, 8, 10 sentences or a couple of paragraphs, but it's
right. Yeah.
out.
It's not size 10 times New Roman.
No.
Single space.
No. But that. It's roughly about 2 minutes a page for me.
Yeah.
Is what it works out to be for how much I write. So, probably another 10 minutes on that.
Yeah.
10, 12 minutes on that. So, but.
Well, anyway.
Yeah, we can unpack that a little bit. But we do have some questions today.
Yeah.
So, we didn't get, I submitted a question because... Well, I got so many questions from people saying, hey, we do want to know more about what we were just talking about, James and John being Jesus' cousins in the atrium. And I was like, just submit a question. And nobody submitted a question. But they asked me literally in the actual physical atrium. And then Rachel was like, I want to know more too. I was like, submit a question. She's like, I'm not doing that.
I just did.
Right. That's right. Yeah. To you. So let's start off. The basic question that I was getting was, just can you dive deeper into the topic of James and John potentially being Jesus's cousins? And you and I had a little chit chat, Mark, last week on that.
Yeah.
And so what is your verdict?
I started looking into this at Mother's Day because on Mother's Day I talked about the women at the cross.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I studied like who were the women at the cross, along with Mary. Mary, the mother of Jesus, was there. But anyway, this is kind of where it comes from, is who was at the cross.
Yeah.
The 4 Gospels all provide similar but different accounts of these women. It's notable, first of all, that all 4 Gospels mention these women.
Right.
Mark says the least. Luke says the least. He just says that there were women that had been followers of him at the cross. John, Matthew, and Mark all give names of women. None of them are exhaustive lists where they're trying to name every woman. In fact, it kind of gives this impression there's a lot of women, but
these are the notable ones.
There's notable ones here that John, Matthew, and Mark wanted to name.
Mm-hmm.
And if you kind of harmonize all these names, you kind of get the suspicion that if you do kind of like almost some investigative work and do the math, so to speak, you kind of get the suspicion that Mary's sister was the mother of the sons of thunder.
Mm-hmm.
And we get that because John, which is what I preached out of on Mother's Day, mentions the mother, Mary, the mother of Jesus, as one of 4 women. And one of those other women was Mary Magdalene.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one of these women was Mary, wife of Clopas.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 4th woman was not given a name, but says it's Mary's sister, the sister of the mother of Jesus. So Mary's sister is at the cross,
Mm-hmm.
and that's would be Jesus's aunt.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Now we go to Matthew, and we see Mary Magdalene listed again. We see Mary, mother of James and Joseph, who is equated to Mary, wife of Clopas. And then we see the expression Mary, the mother of the sons of, or not Mary, sorry, the mother of the sons of Zebedee.
Yeah.
The sons of Zebedee being the James and John.
Yeah.
And so we know that their mom is at the cross. John tells us Mary's sister's at the cross. And then if we look at Mark, we see Mary Magdalene listed again. We see Mary, mother of James and Jose. Well, Jose is how it's spelled, but not pronounced. But that's James and Joseph, which was mentioned in Matthew as well.
Mm-hmm.
And now, instead of saying the mother of the sons of Zebedee, we see Salome.
Salome.
I always said Salome, but
Salome, yeah.
that's probably not right.
Yeah.
So we see
The
this
Logos
name.
guy said Salome.
Salome.
It's how the French say salami.
Oh, okay.
It's essentially, how do you say Salome? Salome.
How would Jeff Goldblum say it in French?
Ah, all manner of word. He would say Salome.
The title of this episode should just be Neal Workshops as Jeff Goldblum.
Workshopping Jeff Goldblum.
Workshopping Jeff Goldblum.
Live on the air. Yeah, the good news is I'm never going to need this.
Anyway,
Whimsical food.
so Matthew
Foods.
and Mark mention 3 women. John mentions 4. Doesn't give a name to Mary's sister.
Right.
But then we can kind of correlate, and it's not definitive. We can't say that they necessarily were mentioning Salome was Mary's sister. No. But we can definitely draw that suspicion.
I think pretty conclusively. And I'm comfortable with that. Mainly because of, like you talked about, she's going him saying, hey, remember the boys here.
Yeah.
To me, one of the biggest things you keep reading in John 19 is Jesus hanging on the cross. And he looks at who? John. And what does he say?
Yeah.
Behold,
this is your mother.
Your mother.
Yep.
Mother, behold your son.
Right.
Like that would have been a family ordeal.
Yeah.
Like it just, that to me is almost like the nail that seals the coffin, so to speak.
So exactly, that makes sense. It also makes sense, I think, why in John's account she's not named. It's just given Mary's sister is how she's described. John is famous for not naming himself either.
Right. He's got his own little nickname for
Even
himself.
there, his nickname is there.
What's that?
The one whom the Lord loved.
The one whom Jesus loved. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But John is anonymous himself. It makes sense that he wouldn't name his mother.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty strong correlation, I would say.
Yeah.
I think there's other reasons to believe the church tradition. I think from what I read around the medieval time is when they started believing this was likely the case. That's Salome was the mother of the sons of Zebedee. It's not a deal breaker for anything, but if that's true, then yeah, that would make Jesus and James and John cousins.
Yeah. Definitely not a deal breaker, but it does make a whole lot of sense with their behavior, their mother's behavior, Jesus's behavior at the cross. But then it does open up to me such an interesting, I don't know if you want to call it a mystery, but it does open up to me such an interesting, I don't know if you want to call it a mystery, but it does open up to me such an interesting, I don't know if you want to call it a mystery, but it does open up to me such an interesting, I don't know if you want to call it a mystery, but it does open up to me such an interesting, I don't know if you want to call it a mystery, but it does open up to me such an interesting, I don't know if you want to call it a mystery, but it does open up to me such an interesting, I don't know if you want to call it a mystery, but it does open up to me such an interesting, I don't know if you want to call it a mystery, but it does open up to me such an interesting, I don't know if you want to call it a mystery, but it does open up to me such an interesting, I don't know if you want to call it a mystery, but it does open up to me such an interesting, I don't know if you want to call it a mystery, but it does open up to me such an interesting, I don't know if you want to call it a mystery, but it does open up to me such an interesting, I don't know if you want to call it thought when it comes to ministry. Bob and I were just talking about this today, in fact, because we're looking at, maybe adding additional staff next year. And I was just talking about how just even studying this, you try to make it a habit. Nepotism, right? This is a thing that you see in businesses and hiring family and doing that. And there are some churches that are really into that. It's like we hire family and we work with family. And for the longest time, I thought that's just probably a bad idea to do that. And we even have policies. I wrote policies in the bylaws, and those were more an elder, relationship. And, like if I had Henry working here and that would be, challenging. And so I thought, we've had elders, sitting elders and employees at the same time, and it just got convoluted a little bit. And so we wrote that into the bylaws years ago. And the more I'm just looking at this, I'm like, man, like Jesus likely, if nothing else, he had 2 sets of brothers that he called to work together in ministry.
He was related to John the Baptist.
Right. And so it's like, I know I told Bob, I'm like, it's not that we have any family, but I'm wondering if that's not maybe a not so bad thing to work with family.
Yeah, I think it's gotten that kind of idea. The negative side of it is actually more recent than we think. Like this whole idea of nepotism.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
Because it used to be
you work on the family farm.
That's what you did. That's
right.
what we see in Scripture. A son would get married and live on the property of his parents because that's what they were going to take over.
Yeah.
That's what they were going to inherit. Just like it's more recent, like where nepotism is like a bad thing.
Yeah. I think it's because
it can be very bad. Don't you? Like it's
gotten so volatile.
Favoritism.
It's got a bad rap for good reason, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think if you handle it like Christ and you're just upfront and honest and direct, then who else is going to
that should transcend
right
nepotism.
Like if my mother worked here and I'm still the lead pastor, and let's say she's something, but she's working for me. You think she's gonna like hold her tongue and not be like, hey, you're kind of being a bit of a tool right now. like calm down. Like, who else is going to call you out on that stuff? Like family could, and that vulnerability. And so, there was just something to that. And again, there's no actionable item for us here. I'm not going to rewrite the bylaws at this point, but if it comes to it, to me, it's just interesting. And that's the most I can say about it right now. Without, going down some rabbit hole. But yeah, it's an interesting concept, a couple of brothers working together. And then you see that relationship, and we talked about it with Peter and Andrew in particular, where you've got, Peter rising through the ranks, and Andrew just kind of quietly, we assume, serving. And there could have been that nature between the two of them, or the tension, between the two of them, based on the nature of their calling, but we don't see that as well. So anyways, Rachel's the new lead pastor, co-lead pastor. No.
Whoa.
No, we're still gonna be biblical guys. Yeah.
Yeah. I just met.
Liz is your boss now. I hired her. She's the head of student ministry.
Yeah. I just met with a new friend whose dad is the lead pastor. A local church sent this church into urban Cleveland. Like over by the zoo in Old Brooklyn. And the whole family, it's like the ministry staff. There's one guy that was sent from the sending church, and he's also on staff, but it's their family.
Yeah.
Son, daughter, wife, husband. And they have various roles, and it seems to be really healthy. And again, they're transcending that issue of the favoritism and politics that can come with that. Because they come at it like we're running the family farm.
Yeah.
Where we're shepherding the flock that God's given us together.
It's the same thing with like friends too. Like, don't work your friends, don't hire your friends. And I don't know, like you and I were friends before either one of us worked here.
Mm-hmm.
And you could speak to it, but I feel like our friendship has grown from this. To me, it hasn't.
Yeah.
I have not been disappointed. And again, it's all the Lord's doing. But yeah, it's only grown. When Swiderack was working here, David and I are still friends.
You guys were friends before?
We hung out. We were friends before either one of us worked here. And, I don't know. I haven't found it to be a challenge.
Yeah.
I didn't know you at all.
No. But Zach and I were friends before he was on staff.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I was friends with Zach as well before. Mm-hmm. Zach used to play drums for me all the time. I know Zach really well.
He was my first youth leader here.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He and Marissa both were back there. So I think that I think it can be done. And I think it maybe even, I hate to say it may even be preferred in some ways.
Yeah.
Because you can get in the trenches. Like if you came to me and said something to me, and I'm looking at Mark for those that are listening. I always forget that people just listen. That carries more weight to it because of the friendship, because you knew me and I knew you beforehand. We met at another church. I think it was Rachel that went up. You guys met Rachel first.
Oh, really?
I think one of 3 times she was outgoing.
I don't remember.
Yeah. I think she came to me and she's like, they're new. And I was like, okay, go talk to him. I'm kind of in the middle of something right now. And I was like, anyways, David, this PRS is amazing. Which is a guitar chat.
Sure. I'm just going to laugh.
Yeah, that's all right. It's
I get the joke.
That's right. I'm hip. I'm with it. But yeah, Rachel went up and talked to you guys. And same thing now, that we've gotten to know each other and be friends. And you and I were talking about this very thing this morning. That I think it's the way it's supposed to be. Like you wouldn't want that relationship to not be one that is a friendship, a genuine love for one another. It's gonna be hard to do ministry with people that you don't care for.
Yeah.
And I haven't had that experience, thankfully. I've been thankful for that. But yeah, it's interesting. I lean towards it, I think, for sure.
Yeah, or there's too many people, too many irons in the fire. I worked at a church before where there was 15 or 16 elders, and their business meetings as a church were hundreds of people.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Voting on things, and that it was just always a cause for issues, a cause for arguments, a cause for questioning leadership.
Yeah.
And all of it, which was it was unnecessary dissension. Yeah. Yeah. It was very intimidating to walk in as a new staff person to meet 16 elders.
I can't imagine.
A city council meeting.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was huge. So, yeah, it was just tough for them all to be tight. It's tough to remember everybody's name.
How'd you feel when you first started here?
Yeah.
I felt really good.
Did you?
I think our first conversation started off pretty weird, because I hadn't met you yet.
Hey, Chad.
Well, Bob,
Oh man, what's this guy doing?
Yeah. I wish, man. I would have been like, this guy. I'm so in. No, but I met you after you preached, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I didn't get to meet you yet in person. I got to see you preach first. To come check out, all the decision had already kind of been made.
Yeah.
In concert with you and Bob.
Yeah.
And
Bob drove that bus.
So I had met him twice, taking his personality tests that he handed me.
Yeah.
The assessments.
You're a lion. No,
I'm an otter.
You're an otter. That's right.
I'm outgoing and good with people, fun, play with a ball.
I like to float them back.
Exactly.
Maybe crack a nut or two.
Like the vibe,
I'm a vibing otter.
But
what were you?
Golden Retriever.
Yeah.
Golden Retriever. I didn't know that about you on that assessment.
Yeah.
Interesting. Zach definitely was.
Really?
Pretty sure.
Did you think that was accurate?
Parts of it.
Did you, boy? Squeaky, squeaky, squeaky. No.
Parts of it were.
Yeah, because Zach
one
was a
was
golden
interesting.
retriever too, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Had to be.
I don't know if
think
I
he
knew
was.
that. I don't know if
Yeah.
I knew what he got.
Or we're
That's
mixing it up
shocking.
with
I
the
wouldn't
fact
say-
that is him. He is
Yeah.
a golden retriever of a personality.
Maybe as a puppy.
He's an amazing guy. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A puppy golden retriever.
So yeah.
What was
so
your question?
yeah. How did it feel coming in
talking
here?
about?
And you said our first conversation was weird.
Yeah, it was weird because I didn't know you yet, but I was basically hired.
Yeah.
And you were like, I should probably meet you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, like, once we got to talking about ministry and, you know, our approaches to ministry and God's calling on it and everything, we were very much like
In line. Yeah.
in line. And we had a really good, healthy, fruitful conversation about it. Then you guys took me to Don Ramon,
That's
we ate
lattes,
Mexican.
everybody there. Yeah.
which is delicious.
That was medium length hair, Chad.
Ooh, yeah. I had my hair super long.
Yeah.
Longest it had been back then.
It was cool.
It was all right.
No, I
Yeah.
liked it.
It was all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got it cut for when you guys introduced me to the church.
Yeah.
I remember that for sure.
I was like, this is
But-
Chad. He used to look
Yeah.
cool. I hired him for his locks.
Yeah. And then I would just ask you guys, who would you have at your coffee table or who would you want to have at lunch?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Alive or dead, celebrity, Jesus.
Right.
Who?
Yeah.
And then I learned that you liked me without you, and our best friendship started right
Yeah,
then and
yeah.
there.
Yeah, that's where I started to be alone more.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys
Exactly.
would come in. You
So we
both
quit asking
wearing
Neil
your-
about how he was
That's
and how his
right,
date
right.
was, date night was.
Right. That's right. Yeah. That's when it all started.
It
I was like,
died right then.
what did you guys do on Friday? Oh, what did I do on Friday? Thanks for asking. Just connected with Rachel. That's when it all changed, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a reason I've been here for 6 years. And that's
There
not
really
a
is.
not a typical thing of a youth pastor tenure.
That's 3 times the national
Yeah.
average.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me. And it's got to be close to same for you. It is for me. I'm double. Like 5 years is it for a lead pastor. They say before the change. 5 years.
Really?
2 for you.
For lead.
1 for a worship leader.
Mm.
Yeah.
and
Well, that's
then-
reflective of culture too, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Big time.
that's how
Don't hire guys with photography
industry
businesses.
works.
No, hire them and then just work them real hard. They get all that tech done and then and then you're good for a few years. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. 5 years. Because what I've read with Barna statistics is that like our average lead pastors in America are over 55 years old. So they won't give up the leadership. They won't have a succession plan.
Right.
And so it's difficult for younger, more vibrant pastors to come in. And
This is why it's 5 years.
okay,
Because when those guys transition out, they've been there for so long and the church doesn't seem to embrace the young blood coming in. That
Got
was
it.
something that I dealt with. You know, Tim was only 56
that makes a lot more sense from that perspective.
and I was 35. So there's only 20 years between us, which is not that significant.
Right.
But yeah, I had to climb that hill
Mm-hmm.
because it was, you know, someone's like, you'll never be my pastor. I was like, oh, why? Like, you're too young. You don't know anything. I was like, okay.
You don't know anything, Nick.
Right.
You don't even know my name.
That's hurtful. I had date night on Thursday, but you probably don't want to know about that either. Yeah, that's a bit of a battle. So when those guys do
Wow.
transition or when they leave, typically it's like it's 3 to 5 is what I've read.
Yeah.
So you get 5 on the long end of it. It's a tough thing to come into an existing eldership.
Yeah.
That was hard for me, because you're just not what they're used to. And it's not just a transition for the church, it's a transition for the team. And everybody that was here pretty much left.
Yeah.
Eventually. Like all the elders stepped down. Brett and Dave that are here now were not sitting elders at the time, but they were still elders, but they came back. And it's been great with those guys. But yeah, we had four stepped down. And then, church secretary left. Then student person left. And it was just, everybody left because it's a transition. So you just start trying to figure out how to piece it all together and build it all together. And that's when Bob and I sat in the room and there's $60,000 in the bank and this giant mortgage. And we've lost 4 elders and the staff, and I'm leading worship and preaching sermons, and Bob's leading worship and preaching sermons, and we're trying to write checks and figure out, like, the budget was a disaster.
Yeah, it's going to be only God taking you past all the odds.
That's it. It really was.
Every
past
3 to 5 years
stacked against us. Yeah. Which is why it was so emotional, just to be at this place. And I was talking to my cousin. He's a worship pastor at a church in Tennessee. And is he in Tennessee now?
John or James?
He's Brad. If Brad lived closer, speaking of nepotism, I'd hire him in a second.
Yeah.
He's just,
Speaking of nepotism.
Poor Janine.
No. Janine's not going anywhere. In addition to. Yeah.
Very poor choice of words.
No. I told Janine that we're probably going to get additional help in worship.
Yeah. Come on, Brad.
No, Brad, they're far, but
Son of Thunder.
Yeah. But he what was I saying? I lost my train of thought now due to the funnies. Needless to say.
3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Budget was a mess.
Yeah.
You were talking to Brad on the phone.
No, he had just preached. That's what it was. Yeah, he had just preached his first sermon, and so he sent it to me. But yeah, he's seen that, in the church, kind of that change, and he's been several different places as a worship guy.
Yeah,
it's just hard to break in once you're into a church and kind of feel like you're a part of that culture.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's why it's great that we all knew Kevin before he came.
Yeah,
it was good. Anything else on Solomé?
Not that, but like in this topic,
I
was just thinking about I visited my father and mother-in-law's church a couple of times this past year. So I've never really gotten to go, but I finally got to go a couple times when we were visiting out there. And their senior pastor, he's older, but he's not retiring. He's transitioning into a different form of ministry that he feels called to at this point in his life, at this point in his ministry career. And both times I went, or 3 times I went, and my in-laws told me every time on a Sunday, and it's like a broken record now. He's been doing this for over a year. He reminds the church, this pastor who's been the executive pastor, is going to be his position. So it's like this really healthy succession plan and getting the people to know this is who's going to be the leader of this church.
And then he's sticking around at the church?
As much as he can, but he travels a lot for this other ministry that he's going to be doing for the rest of his life. And he's transitioning onto that instead of a church leader ministry role. So, I don't know, it's just something about that. Like, I've seen it done well.
It can be done.
It can be done with intention and not holding the reins.
It's tough if you stick around, though. Like, I think if I, retired.
Yeah.
And, whoever was next or whatever, I think I would leave, just completely disconnect. I can't imagine if Tim would have been here and we made that transition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would have been nearly impossible. It can't be done, though. It takes a special church to do that for sure.
Yeah.
And special leaders. Because
it would have to be something like that that's done over years.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen it a couple times, but that was the most recent.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Very
good. What time is it? We got
2:26.
Rick, we got time for one more.
We got time for one more.
One day we're gonna hire Rick. We'll
just call
you guys gonna hire Rick?
Name him and claim him.
Yeah. You guys gonna build or hire Rick? He's expensive.
Name him into existence.
All right. Mark, you want to read
Sure.
this one?
There's 2 questions here. I have a couple of quite simple, not deep, but just clarifying questions about the Who's Who series so far. The first question is from week 1, Peter. From the scripture in John 21, it seems as though Jesus is not recognizable to the apostles after his resurrection. When they're on the boat and look to shore, verse 4 says they did not realize that it was Jesus, even though we know the boat wasn't that far off from shore. Later, verse 12 says none of the disciples dared ask him, "Who are you?" They knew it was the Lord. I find this a bit confusing because it seems like either Jesus' appearance is different or the disciples simply can't believe that it is indeed Jesus, knowing that he was crucified. Did they not know that after 3 days he would be resurrected from the grave? Your insight on that would be greatly appreciated. Your insight on that would be great. I don't know. Appreciate's not even in there. I don't know why I read that.
Self-affirming.
Anyway.
She's going to appreciate this.
I hope so.
I'm just going to tell her.
All right. So, yeah, this interaction with the disciples, Jesus is on the beach. Neal talked about it in the Peter sermon. And there's this interaction where it says they didn't realize it was Jesus. What do we mean? What do we take from that? And I think the answer is in the previous chapter of John 20. Some helpful things at the scene of the resurrection. Mm. And I want to read from chapter 20, starting at verse 11. It says, "But Mary stood weeping outside the tomb." This is Mary Magdalene. "And she wept. And as she wept, she stooped to look into the tomb. And she saw," so the scene set here, is the resurrection. She's at the tomb and Jesus is not there. Verse 12, "And she saw 2 angels in white sitting there where the body of Jesus had lain, one at the head and one at the feet. They said to her, 'Woman, why are you weeping?' She said to them, 'They do not know where they have taken away my Lord.'" I can't read today. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I appreciate it.
I need a reset. "They have taken away my Lord, and I don't know where they've laid him.' Having said this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there, but she did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to her, 'Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you seeking?' Supposing him to be the gardener, she said to him, 'Sir, if you carried him away, tell me where you've laid him, and I will take him away.' Jesus said to her, 'Mary.' She turned and said to him in Aramaic, 'Rabboni,' which means teacher." So, this scene after the resurrection, Jesus raises from the dead. Mary Magdalene is sitting there weeping over her presumed Savior whose dead body had been stolen, is what she's thinking. It has been misplaced or taken. She's sobbing. Jesus appears to her at the tomb. She turns around and looks at him and doesn't recognize him. This is Mary Magdalene, the woman who has been following Jesus day in, day out for years, potentially. A avid supporter of the man, knows him very well, and he's standing there talking to her, and she doesn't recognize him. What's going on there? Well, there's a few things going on. First of all, we know Jesus' appearance is different. He does look different. He has a glorified body. So he did not just come back to life in the sense that he was raised from the dead and just returned to his life like Lazarus was. He went through the resurrection into the glorified state, which is what we will all go through when we go through the resurrection when Christ returns. So Christ did look different. Isaiah says that prophesied when Christ was crucified, he would be crucified and beaten to the point that he didn't even look like he was human anymore. So all the injuries and the horrible things that happened to Christ's body, none of that's there.
Yeah.
Save for what? The scars. We know he still has the scars on his hands and feet and the scars on his side. But he has to look different in some way because Mary doesn't recognize him. Now, Mary could be, crying, very distraught, but she's still looking at him and he's standing right in front of her. She says she supposes him to be the gardener.
Love that.
Which is an awesome verse.
Yeah.
and first of all, it's just kind of funny, like, to think he's the gardener.
Yeah.
But that detail's there specifically because this is supporting the idea that Christ is the second Adam. Christ fulfilled what Adam was set out to do. Adam was set out in the Garden of Eden to be a gardener. And now Christ is fulfilling the role of the gardener. He's not an actual gardener, but that correlation is there. And ultimately, history ends in a garden. In Revelation 21:22, we're given this picture of a garden. The whole Bible is bookended with gardens, and in the middle of it is Christ's resurrection. It's the heart of history. So he's not the gardener, but she supposed him to be the gardener. And she says, "Sir, if you've carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." And then Jesus said to her, "Mary." So that,
love that too.
That verse where Jesus just says Mary, that calls us back to John 10, where Jesus says, "My sheep will know my voice." Mm-hmm. And he hears the voice of Jesus, and she knows who it is, and she calls him Rabboni, which is the Aramaic word for rabbi, and recognizes that it's Jesus.
I get all wrapped up in the feels of that.
There's so many feels here.
Because it's like, and I hate that I just use that word, but because I'm not that hip, but it's, can you imagine what she felt?
Yeah.
Like the moment he was just like, Mary.
Yeah.
And I love that it's just one word and he calls her by name. Like, it's going to get me going.
Well, this is why John is called the spiritual gospel. Like it has the feels where sometimes the synoptic gospels don't.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of that biblical theology of this comment, like the gardener, that ties everything together. And you see everything on this cosmic scale, but then it gets narrowed down to this one word, Mary.
Right.
And it dials it down to make it so personal
and
intimate. Cosmic at the same time.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
It really is. Yeah, it's so good.
There's so much going on there. So all of that to set up an answer. She didn't recognize Jesus. Yes, I believe Jesus looked different.
Yeah, for sure.
He still looked somewhat the same. I think he was, because he had to convince the disciples it was him. Ultimately, he had to convince Thomas.
Yeah.
But right after the resurrection, the women that saw him went and told all the apostles. So yes, they knew he was resurrected, because this scene in the next chapter in 21 takes place later. It doesn't take place that day. So they had all been told. Jesus had actually already appeared to all the disciples. So that comment, when they didn't recognize it was him, I don't think we need to read too much into it. I don't think it was like they didn't know it was Jesus, or they didn't know he was resurrected. I think they knew he was resurrected. I think it was probably just a matter of maybe it was early morning and they weren't sure. But then we know that Peter knew it was him.
Yeah.
Like they figured it out. Peter jumps in to get to him.
Yeah, because he had already revealed himself. But it's like if somebody gets this is such a bad analogy, but it's simple. If somebody has had long hair their entire life, and then you see them and they got their hair cut, and you're like, oh, it's them. And then you see them again, like a week later, you're still adjusting to that.
Or it's like you see people. I see people from the church outside of the church.
Yeah,
and they don't recognize me.
Okay.
Or it takes them a minute. Like you can tell, like they look and then they look back and then it clicks.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to make too much of that.
Yeah.
Now the question here, Jesus makes them breakfast. Come have breakfast. Now none of the disciples dared ask him, "Who are you?" They knew it was the Lord. So we're told they knew it was him. Jesus came and took the bread and gave it to them, and so with the fish. This is now the third time that Jesus was revealed to the disciples after he was raised from the dead. So we know that Jesus, after his resurrection, didn't just spend all his time with the apostles. There was revelations. It says he revealed himself to them. So it was not like before his death where they were there basically 24/7.
Yeah.
He went and did other things, we have the road to Emmaus and all of that, but I believe he spent most of his time away in prayer. But he wasn't like, they weren't following him around anymore.
Even the road to Emmaus is a great example of him.
That's what I have here.
Yeah.
In that one, it specifically says that he withheld his appearance from them. So it's Cleopas and another disciple. Where is it? Cleopas and another disciple. While they were discussing and arguing, Jesus himself came near and began to walk along with them, but they were prevented from recognizing him. Then he asked them, "What is this dispute that you're having with each other as you are walking?" He's like pulling a prank on these guys or something, acting like he didn't know what happened.
It's like Undercover Boss.
It's Undercover Boss. It is Undercover God.
Undercover
What do you
Messiah.
guys think about Jesus?
Right.
He stopped walking and looked discouraged. The one named Cleopas answered him, and I love this. "Are you the only visitor in Jerusalem who doesn't know the things that happen there?
Let me
these
translate
days?"
that. What are you, an idiot?
Yeah. I know. You must be new here.
Look at this guy.
What things? He asked them, as if Jesus doesn't know.
Right, yeah. Well, I don't know. What are you guys talking about?
And then they go on telling, what just happened with Jesus.
He was going to do this to get more involved. So, this is going to come in one day and look completely different. I'm the new guy.
Hey, everybody.
He sounds a lot like Jeff Goldblum.
Right. Well, look at you guys, all manner of translation here. Yes, good. I've never podcasted before. I'd like to.
I'd like to. Well, Neal's not here today, so you could fill in.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yes, I'll send his chair. That sounds good.
Yeah, you've got a radio voice.
Somehow we're going to get canceled.
Nah.
I don't know how.
Nah. But
Jeff Goldblum
they
sees
recognize him when they take communion with him, when they break bread at the table. And that's a crazy part, too. It's like supernatural. He took the bread.
And then he just poofs.
Yeah, he took the bread, blessed and broke it, and gave it to them. Then their eyes were open. They recognized him, but he disappeared from their sight.
And then what do they say? Didn't our hearts?
They said to each other, "Weren't our hearts burning within us while he was talking with us on the road and explaining the scripture to us?"
They're like, why did it feel
Something
so good?
about this guy.
You're smart. You're smart.
Yeah, that's an interesting language. Yeah, weren't our hearts burning within us?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. His appearance was obviously different. This is, I think we get some insight to this in the Mount of Transfiguration when they see him transform.
Yeah.
Not quite sure. They're seeing his glory. I don't think you're seeing his resurrected body at that point, but we know that whatever we have now is not going to be what we have in the future. And so the appearance would have changed. I also agree that we don't need to look probably too much into it. There's no theological nugget that we're missing. We know we're going to get glorified bodies, and it was who he was. That's how they knew it was the Lord, by what he said and what he did. And you see that in Scripture all over the place, where he'd say something, he's like, and then Scripture would add to it, but nobody was able to understand it. Like they were concealing. He was concealing the nature of what he said from people. You see him slipping through crowds. You see him walking on water. You see him, all of a sudden the boat's at the other side of the lake. There's all kinds of stuff.
And and I think that contributes to the point that even you just made with the road to Emmaus and here on the beach. It's a matter of who the resurrected Jesus reveals himself to.
Right.
And gives them eyes to see.
And to believe.
It happened that's what we're seeing with Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
Right after that is the account with Thomas. We see that with Thomas. And then we see it with this group of 7 with Peter and the rest, and with the fish. We see it on the road to Emmaus. It's Jesus giving people eyes to see and ears to hear.
It's like election.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, their hearts were burning within them, but now they believe that Jesus is resurrected from the dead.
Yeah.
And in the beautiful representation of taking communion with him.
Right. Yeah, man.
Which is a callback to what he just did with the apostles, with his disciples. So, Yeah, he elected them right then and there.
Yeah.
I always assume that every single scenario we see where they didn't recognize him was like the road to Emmaus. He prevented them from recognizing him more than like the idea that, I mean, I guess this would contribute. Like, it would be possible that your mind is not set on seeing somebody who just died. Like, it's impossible.
Yeah.
It's impossible to now see them again how
Absolutely.
they once were. So, of course, it'd be way more than a usual double take to see somebody who is alive again.
And I think the appearance was changed, but I also think that was obviously it's intentional.
It's part of it.
Right. Everything that they were capable of understanding was of his design.
Yeah.
And so ultimately the source of their inability to recognize is God doing it. How he chooses to source that doesn't really matter, whether his appearance was changed, but again, he's in a glorified body. We know it's going to be different. So that's certainly a part of it, but they could have gotten used to that. You know, they saw him once and now they recognize it and they'll see him again. So what? No.
The undercover boss thing. What you guys talking about?
When's this member at Hope?
Jesus,
right.
Jesus who?
Hey, Nazareth. I remember. Is that near Illyria?
I'm going to get these guys so good.
Right. Wait till I disappear. They're going to love it. What's a gospel?
Really good. Great question.
Oh, these are great.
This is the fun stuff when you're reading the Gospels.
Oh, man, yeah.
You're like, what did that look like? How did that play out?
Yeah.
Last one?
Yeah, because this one we already covered last week, but this is just a
Clarification.
Just a quick clarification, yeah.
My second question is from week 2, Andrew, a.k.a. Manly. Can you please clarify the timeline of when Andrew was with John the Baptist and met Jesus for the first time? So took his brother Simon to meet Jesus, and then Jesus renames him Peter. Versus when Andrew and Simon are on the boat and Jesus calls to them from shore to come and be fishers of men. I'm just a little lost on the chronology here. Which one happened first, and any indication of how far apart these two events took place? Thanks in advance. I really appreciate it. No, that's not there either.
Thank you, Mark. You're the best.
Just insert that.
Right. Love the members of Hope Christian Church.
This is more directed at Mark.
And the angels in heaven.
The one whom we all love.
Right.
Mark.
The pastor whom we loved. Yeah.
Yeah, so we talked about this a little bit last week. We have a handful of events that we can kind of conflate sometimes and think it's the same thing. And John 1, where Jesus calls the first 4 disciples, Peter and Andrew and James and John, is not the call to apostleship. It's not even the call to discipleship. It's the call to conversion. So it's when they are converted, and particularly we see, Peter and Andrew had been following John the Baptist, and they're converted to go to Jesus. John says, no, it's not me, it's Jesus. So then they convert. That's their conversion. And that takes place roughly around the same time as the water into wine, the first miracle. Later on, we see the fishers of men scene where they're called to discipleship, and they actually leave their jobs and they start to follow Jesus on a day-to-day basis, literally follow him. And so that didn't happen the first time when they left John the Baptist. They still went back to their boats and their business, and they lived their lives, but they believed in Jesus, and they still probably would seek him out and listen to him and learn about him, but they didn't forsake everything, so to speak, yet. So those are two events. How far apart they are, we don't know exactly. We can get some clues. We know that after the wedding to Cana, the miracle at the wedding in Cana, we're told that Jesus and the disciples went to a Passover celebration in Jerusalem, and then they continue to perform ministry and miracles and baptisms, probably in the Judea area around Jerusalem for a while. And then we have before the fishers of men scene, we're told about another Passover that is not the same one. So it's probably a year later. So these two events, the first, the calling to conversion, and then the calling to discipleship, these two things probably were more than a year apart. That's about as close as we can get estimating.
Yeah. I agree.
And then the call to apostleship happened in that same year, but possibly up to 3 months later.
Yeah, it was. I think it was pretty close.
Yeah,
probably 2-3 months. But yeah, we don't know exact time.
We don't have exact dates,
no.
But
all of it within a year and probably 3-4 months.
That's how we can mark Jesus' ministry, as we're told in the Gospels. Basically, we can deduce that he ministered during 3 Passovers.
Yeah.
And so you try to break his ministry up into those years. About halfway through those 3 years is when we believe he called the apostles. So you put it early on in his ministry with the miracle of the water into wine. 18 months into that is likely when we think the apostles were called, about halfway through this time period.
This is a really important point, and there's so much you can go into on this, because when you read Matthew 4, Peter and Andrew immediately left the boat. James and John, their dad's there, still fixing the net, right? We don't know if the net got finished, and they're like, we're out of here, Zebedee. That's it. They immediately leave. And you see pastors or authors will be like, when Jesus called, you immediately leave. And they did. But the reality is they probably had a year.
And they were also looking.
Right.
They were also like they were looking for the Messiah.
They wanted to be called.
Yeah.
It's like if Rachel would have called me and said, would you go on a date? Immediately, I would have left and gone on a date because I wanted to go on a date. They had.
And I would ask him.
And we would ask you.
Yeah.
Oh.
How it went.
Nice.
We held hands.
Did you have a burning feeling in
your
heart?
No, we went to this church that had an amazing bacon bar.
Wow.
Oh my goodness, it was so good.
Bacon jam.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum was there.
I hugged him.
I hugged him. I hugged his feet. They were huge. So like that, and it is, yes, when the Lord calls you to do something, you drop it immediately. But I think sometimes we have this romanticized ideology that Jesus is like, you're Peter. And then like the next day he's like, follow me. And Peter's like, I'm done. And it was just this magnanimous moment. But God used the normal course of what he created in persuasion and in his
and building trust
in relationships.
Yeah. He did.
Like he uses, because people are like, oh, it was a miracle. Everything he does is a miracle. The fact that anybody can get along with anybody is a miracle. So he uses what he's already created in the natural order of things, in his godly order, to cultivate relationships. When you look at the way that he preached.
Yeah, he's demonstrating leadership.
It's not so that we can follow him,
right,
and do what he did.
Yeah.
So if he just came on the scene and was like, all right, Peter, Andrew, James, John, just snapped his fingers and we just immediately, that doesn't help us at all. All that does is us go, oh, okay, yeah, he's God, so he can do that. But he shows us how to cultivate. And then he spends 3+ years with these guys and in building he could have dumped everything on them. He could have given them instant wisdom.
Yeah.
He could have done that in the blink of an eye, but he doesn't. He builds a relationship. He slowly gives them that scene in Mark 3 where you guys are apostles. Now you go preach. Now I'm going to give you the power to cast out demons. Like, that's not like 2 days after they're off the boat and they left their dad.
Yeah.
That's down the road.
Yeah. And there's even levels of their commissioning where like he sends out 70 first.
Right.
And then they come back and they report and they, how'd you do? How'd it go? Mm-hmm. And then after that, then we get the commissioning of the 12 from those 70. Not that he's auditioning people.
Right.
Because he knows who he's going to pick. But like we see intentional leadership and training.
Yeah. No, that's a great question though. To clarify. Well, this was fun.
It was fun.
I enjoyed
Time for a nap.
Yeah, I am sleepy today.
Or coffee.
You got 2 different shoelaces there.
Yeah, man.
Was that
having fun?
Okay, I didn't know if that was for fun.
You're such an otter.
Or what?
Dude, yeah, exactly.
Floating on your back, playing with your shoelaces.
Having fun.
Did you find those in the river?
Vibing.
I didn't know if that was intentional. Did you buy them like that, or did you change that yourself?
I did buy them like this. I do have 2 sets of laces, but I liked it that way.
Yeah.
I left them.
I have no issue with it.
And then I had like the neutral shirt today, so I was like, I could actually do this and be a little more crazy on the feet.
You could.
Man,
Yeah.
a lot of thought.
There's a lot of thought.
Yeah. Good for
Yeah.
you.
How do you pick your clothes out? Just clean, dirty?
They're on hangers in my closet.
Yeah. What kind of hangers you got? Plastic?
Yes.
Yeah. We got some really nice metal ones that we inherited from Rachel's grandma.
Oh. Inherited hangers.
Well, you see these things.
Man.
They're not, you're not throwing them
down.
out. Well,
When your family jewels are hangers.
One day, Henry, these will all be yours.
how many hangers have your children broke? Henry's broken about 9,000.
Oh, they've broken
man,
hangers for
they're metal?
sure.
No, not metal.
That's dangerous.
Oh, he doesn't
No.
get the nice hangers.
No. We give him the
good.
plastic ones.
He's ripping metal.
Every
hangers
year
apart.
I give him a metal hanger and
get
I'm
my
like, are
hangers
you a
from-
man yet this year?
Yeah.
And they can't.
I
Wow.
get my hangers from World Market.
Right. We have
They're
Japanese
We have
hangers.
Japanese.
They're
yeah.
bamboo.
They're bamboo. They're adamantium.
Adamantium.
We go to Universe Market.
Yeah. you got
Marvel Universe Market.
Marvel Cinematic
Universe
Universe.
Market. We got Wolverine hangers. Yeah, I was just wondering how you pick out your outfits. Do you wear the same pants with the same shirts all the time? You get a little wild with it. You enjoy the fashion.
Yeah, I change it up.
Yeah. That's good.
That's good.
Seems like you're having a good time.
I am getting gray hair though. It's happening.
Join the club.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming in. Where's
So-
yours coming in? Just the sides a little bit?
Sides, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems to happen when I'm getting my fade. Like she'll,
Every time I get mine faded,
Yeah.
it comes back more.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's like when you shave originally. Like I said, I think last week I had peach fuzz. Even got called that in high school as a beard. And when you'd shave it down, you'd eventually shave it down. It would come in as actual beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
That's
I'm
what they
getting it
say.
faded, and it's brown. It's brunette, and it comes back peppery.
Have you ever done the buzz cut, like a really short?
Yeah, I used to. I used to just get it buzzed. Not like super. Well, it was pretty short, and then I have like a widow's peak is what I have.
Oh, I have a big one.
Yeah.
Mine's getting worse.
So that was kind of my look for a while. Just kept it real low maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did that
Real
one time.
short.
And it was great. Loved it.
Yeah.
I asked you if you would do that.
Do what?
Buzz your head.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a long
Probably
you
one
had,
day.
you had mentioned you had 3 moles on the top of your head. and I said to
we can stop here.
the content that the late.
you remember this in the green room?
Well,
This made
late
you laugh.
listener.
I thought you liked it. And Mark goes, I don't know if I want to do it because I have 3 moles on my head. And I said, you ever press them all at the same time? See what happens.
He just been moved.
Sorry, focus.
He jumps really high.
He liked it in the green room. He might have just been nice because I had to preach in a minute or two.
These are PlayStation buttons. So what the heck?
Right?
No, that's how I focus.
I don't know. Maybe it's how you power up. That could be it.
Taller today.
I don't know what I got going on. I got a lot of freckles. Like I'm a freckly guy. Like you can see them all over. I don't know what I got going on up here. I bet I got a lot on my head too.
I just know
Henry
you're
asked me when I was a kid because kids don't care. He's like, "We got all those dots for."
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, man.
I feel like you couldn't be bald.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't have the face for it.
No.
Face shape is awful for that. I'd have to grow a big
I feel like you
beard.
couldn't be bald. What does that mean?
That I would look terrible.
It would.
Why?
I don't know.
Look, look at me.
It just doesn't. It doesn't seem to work like you think about Bob. Bob works.
It
I don't
doesn't
know
work on me.
I don't know how to explain it.
I got to find a picture of it.
I'm envisioning it. But
Not
I'm like,
bald, but buzzed. It was not
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Once because I was clean shaven at the time too. I looked like an emoji. It just didn't work because
Gotcha.
I have a diamond shaped face, but my cheeks are real wide, and so if I gain weight or lose weight, you see it in my face immediately. Like most people, you lose weight from the top down and the bottom up. That's how you lose weight, which is why this becomes the stubborn area in the midsection. But my cheeks will just blow up. So like I have to have my hair longer on the sides if I'm heavier. Like right now I'm lighter because I've been doing, dieting and all that stuff. But when I get up to like 215,
I need long hair on the sides, and it just doesn't work out. But yeah, I can't.
I feel like there's always just a learning curve when someone shaves their head or goes.
You get used to it.
Yeah, you gotta just get used to it.
Yeah, yeah. I would love to do it because I love the maintenance of it.
I'm sure even Bob, the first time he did it, there was an adjustment period.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you could pull it off. I feel like.
Oh, I'm not gonna have a choice soon. I mean, it's.
Yeah. Yours is thinning.
It's on the way. Oh yeah,
is it?
For sure. It's gotten a lot thinner the last 5 years.
Yeah, mine the last couple of years.
Yeah,
it's gotten good, but I held on for a while. Good enough.
My hair will remain long and thick, but it'll be gray.
Is that a prophecy?
Both my parents.
Are you naming it and claiming it?
They say it's your mother's dad.
Does that come from your
my grandparents? Everybody
really
has very thick, full heads of hair. Yeah, my dad does to this day. It's just silver.
My hair will remain long and thick.
I'm not trying to name
amongst a sea of thin-haired weasels.
Molly 3.
My mom always used to tell me this.
Molly 3. What if we both touched our moles and then touched hands? You think we would transport?
The first one I knew I had because everybody
and they disappeared from his.
Well, here's the thing. Chad's going to take communion, and then you and I. Oh, this is so dumb.
It's going to be very anticlimactic.
You'll come back the next day with a mustache.
Right.
The new employee.
Right. Oh, man. I love it.
Yeah.
This is great. All right, we should end.
He'll come back with a mustache. I'll come back knowing how to play guitar.
Oh, yeah, there you go. There you go. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening, if you still are. If you have a question you'd like to submit to the podcast, you can email podcast@hopechristianchurch.com, or you can text your question to 440-HOPE-222. Thank you, Pastor Mark. Thank you, Pastor Chad. Have a great week.
Thanks.